move on to our next topic given by Milos Solujic, CTO of Game Credits, who has been doing software for more than 25 years while trying to improve the world using data and software. So, he's also a founder of Fitico.com Consulting, and Milos will introduce us to the ethics in data science and how to respond to some of the most common challenges. A very important topic indeed. Milos, you have our full attention.
Thank you. Okay, you hear me, guys. So yeah, actually I want to just break ice with some silly joke that just crossed my mind on previous talk. And also it's connected to autonomous vehicles and everything. So there is a situation, there is no autonomous vehicles, there is like average Joe, driving a bus, and he's appearing on the court, and there is like, okay, like how it happens, you just, almost killed like 52 people. And he was like, and actually this is the pretty much same thing that would some machine need to decide, like, do I hit a child or do I hit like a too old person? Like, what, it's actually a real problem. And this average Joe says like, oh, actually, there was two guys on one side, okay, and then, I just, turned left, okay, and then those stupid idiots just ran on the other side. So, yeah. So this is how 52 people got. So guys, thank you for joining us. I hope at least we're gonna spark some new questions. So this is actually really relevant to first picture. This happened last week. So it's, it's a real thing. Some guys who have a lot of power in their hands, representing a lot of us in European Parliament, actually came together and discussed a really important topic, like should we allow robots like this guy 20 years ago go around and just okay, go around and kill some people for me. And luckily this time around in European Union we agreed we don't do that, and it's good. Then again, like a few days after that, some other guys say, okay, we don't care. So, like, you can see, like, as we said, like, this can be really, really tricky as we go forward. Like, this is why I started from probably most touching thing, first, probably you thought Terminator was just a joke, and it was a joke when the movie was the first shoot. But right now, it's not a joke at all. Actually, there is a lot of drones who are sent on some recent warfare, going around and doing a job, testing in the field, which is really, really scary. The other, article. As you might be aware, China is doing really, really big scale experiment grading its citizens. So if you're not really up to standards of Republic of China, you might lose some benefits of society. For example, if you do some alcohol and drive, you lose, for example, ability to go in public transport, and so on. Also, last week it was announced they were able to push through a law to install audio recording in some kind of Uber service in China, something like that. And there's not much people can say about that there, but it's happening. Probably you follow up on Equifax and how much data was leaked and how much people, will suffer in future because of this. Equifax is a company that I collaborated with a few years ago. They actually hold all the relevant data for credit scoring in US. Pretty much, all adults there. Facebook, Cambridge Analytica, and how it influenced latest. And you would say like, okay, all this was, really nice, but it affects some other people somewhere else. But, like maybe you don't think about that, but when you go to, for example, to bank and you say, okay, maybe you have a need, and, you want to, collaborate with bank. Okay, so I need a loan, and they will tell you, not like person, like you say, okay, I like you, you are trustworthy or something. No. Some algorithm, some data will be crunched, and this algorithm will just, say, okay, you are okay or not okay, and so important thing here, it's, it's people are just being pushed away from a lot of decisions, a lot of processes, which affects us all. Yeah, so I was already introduced. So my idea was, just to pull you into this narrative and then to follow up. Okay, you already know who I am. So, okay, shall we start just defining, like, simply defining what is ethics? So, as I said, it's, just simply moral principles that govern person's behavior. Okay. And then we say like, okay, person, yeah, sure, because, this was defined like, long time ago. I don't know if you watch this movie, it's, right now it's science fiction, but it's like, like it's really person-like, something which might be reality, I don't know, it's in 1 or 2 decades. So is this a person? I don't know. Or maybe Sophia, some of you know, she's the first robot to receive citizenship in, Saudi Arabia. Yeah. We just talked about that previously. I don't want to go into more details about that, in my opinion, why there and why now, or this kind of person, like normal guy, like next door, or colleague, somebody who actually, like previous presenter, influence if this algorithm will, be well tested and well thought out before we put this car on the road and, put some lives, to be trusted with some lives. And we're gonna explore, like, touch maybe, there is a lot of issues, like, or problems, or we can call it, we're gonna touch only 3 of those, because we only have like a few more minutes. So, this is not really something which is totally out of ordinary. It's for typical company, like, okay, there are some data, we collected it just because we can, and believe me, if those users can do the same, they will do it. Dogbert is typical, like, consultant, or like, somebody who has ear of the CEO. Yeah, and like, not many questions, and believe me, like, I was part of quite few startups that were actually, the main product was some kind of data analytics, crunching, data decision support system, and like, until GDPR, until, like, I don't know, until actually I was preparing this presentation, like, nobody really thought a lot about, like, okay, is this data safe? How it will be repurposed? What is ethical, what is not? Okay, so let's start with first challenge. So only 3 we're gonna cover. So as I mentioned, like, what is not who, but what is something that we can call, active subject in our lives. They can, like, go around, reason, make decisions, drive left or right, like make a credit score good, or like what it is. Like, is it only person, like we underline, or like I would argue that like in past few decades, all those algorithms that were developed, like 60s, 70s, 80s, none of that is actually new. Now we have a lot of data. Now we have a lot of easy, cheap cloud infrastructure to run through it, to learn a lot, and like now it becomes really powerful. For example, like best chess player, like for past 20 years, it's not any human, it's machine. Best Go player, also machine algorithm. Also like Dota, it's unbeatable. So, but here, like also like best radiologist. I don't know if you know, like it's not human anymore. It's just algorithm. Because it can never sleep. Just learn, like faster than any human. Better memory, you name it. We cannot compete. So challenge number one, we have to understand, like we are not only one who are super intelligent, not just dolphin intelligent, no, like super intelligent. There are few more entities, and things that we create are those entities. Okay. And those entities affect us every day. Either we notice it or not, they do. For example, you ask, like, okay, Google, like, tell me how to go to my home most quickly. And it will, anonymously, hopefully, pull a lot of data and see, okay, this is traffic, or TomTom guys, they are also doing amazing job on the same field. It's some data, so it's nice to have. So example, you come for a credit, loan, and then you have a tough negotiation, and then this lady, she will just keep you company because algorithm cannot do it. It's really important for us right now to speak to other person. But I don't know. Soon, probably, yes, especially kids that are born with internet, not probably, but actually, as I learned, they actually prefer more and more situations not to have any contact with person like this, or any person, just click through some form, am I accepted or denied, and go through it. So yeah, it's really been tough. So far, it's really dark for human race. But yeah, bear with me, please. Another example is insurance policy. And then, as I mentioned, like, you want to go from point A to point B, you just want to see what is the optimal route. And you don't care, like, if you have to share your own route, and hope it's anonymized before it's reused. So, okay, I call it cure, but possible solution is some solutions is like regulations, like not regulations, it's like recommendations. So, but they are coming into force. Nobody was charged so far, but it sounds that it is really a serious thing. This thing called GDPR across the European Union, and as you know, like if you have any data from citizens of the European Union, you have to actually comply. Then this, oh, sorry, I thought I had this thing, global resolution of ethics. We don't have it. And then, yeah, we have something like for computer science engineers, computer engineers on general, but for data science, I would argue, because it is now becoming really specialized and really important part of computer science, we should consider to have something, like more strong. And there is, like, famous, really like shallow approach from Isaac Asimov from iRobot. You know, the guy, he was really, really my big hero when I was a kid, and introduced me to science, and tried to popularize it. So he actually understood that, like a long time before we had any robots like, that are available now, we would need to define some basic rules. Like, maybe this is funny, maybe this is romantic, but, at least he started the discussion. And, this is, I hope, pretty much most of us are familiar with this. So that's, one approach. Challenge number 2. So, first of all, explain number 1. Number 2 is like, okay, somebody has a lot of our data, for example, some of you worked on some medical systems or all kinds of really, really touchy-feely things. And it is regulated, it is, really secured, but it is secured until you come to some admin and say like, okay, I really need this data, and bribe him or her, take this data and resell it, and it's done like, I don't know, every year there is a big talk about those things. It happens like here. So we don't have a control. That's really few examples. Like, for example, people do not have any say how and what, how much and when Facebook, Google, and other big companies collect data about us. I've done that, so I can tell you how much data it can be collected and how easy it is actually to like 3 or 4 data points, so really harmless data points about each of us. You're pretty much sure who that person is in any city, like zip code, gender, and one more data point, and you don't know who it is. So yeah, and pretty much it's totally, really not regulated right now. Another example, like in famous insurance companies, like they would do anything, just, and nobody can blame them. They just try to be profitable as much as they can. They do their business, so they won't just voluntarily, okay, like now we want to be good guys or whatever. They just business as usual. So now we come to something really exciting. This is where blockchain, but not blockchain like it's cryptocurrencies, no. Like blockchain is technology, like data storage and consensus algorithms and smart contracts can come to help. So for example, this is some sample, like this thing in a central picture is some permissioned blockchain, so it's not public. Some set of entities who are trusted altogether, like, for example, government, hospital, bank, hotel industry, shopping, you name it, like schools, universities, come together. Like, so this is, we cannot possibly go into details. Like, it's really, really different from how things work right now. As I mentioned, like there is like weak point in previous system, like you just go to some database admin and say, okay, please dump me all data on this USB key. Here's, one Bitcoin, whatever. For example, you pay a guy with Bitcoin. Here you cannot do it because, like here, you have like each and every person, based on like blockchain smart contracts, you define how much data you want to share with each institution, and you want to share, like you want to define also like who can access it, how often, and for what reason, and for how long, and it's all power goes back to user. So as I mentioned, like what do we get? User-centric, but it's really important. It's crucial. So I don't know, like maybe I'm here like totally alone with those concerns, and people are pretty much I don't know, ignorant. Like, I don't care. Like, if I get better service, I'm totally fine to share everything. But yeah, I want to argue like that people should be educated. And currently, main problem that I see with adoption of blockchain is simple. User experience of that is like internet of 1994, 1995. So we have some like Mosaic browser, few geeks are using it, and if you listen for some CNN interviews for that time, like there is some, some professor, some researcher coming, like talking about internet, how it's a great new thing, and reporters, like you said, yeah, right, yeah, of course, yeah. Yeah, they're really mocking the guy, like, yeah, sure, okay, you and your internet thing, okay, now go back to your lab and do whatever your nerds are doing. So maybe we are crossing a little bit faster this time with blockchain, but still UX is not there. It still requires you, like, if you want to do it properly, to know what you have to know what is actually private key, and yeah, a lot of other things. Until that improves, broad adoption is not broad quality adoption is not on a site. Also, like, because of smart contracts, all other things can be done dynamically. Really crucial thing is auditable records, which are pretty much impossible to change. Like you cannot go and rewrite history. It's really crucial. So it's like built in. Like I said, control visibility for you as a citizen. You can see like, okay, I want to share this data with hospital, but I want to share with school, or I don't want to share. Okay, this is obvious, but I want to put it. So this is not anarchy, but this is like there is no weak point. There is no like, okay, this government body says it is what it is. But like it's a blockchain. So one nice example, maybe it's for us now solved problem, but in some countries that are even less structured and even more corruption than here, they have a problem, as a guy previously on the panel mentioned, with like like just what house belongs to whom, and like other things, because it's really easy again to go to some database and change things, and like, and then you cannot prove it. Oh, it's actually mine. It actually happens. We solved that problem a little bit, but still we still have same problems with blockchain. You cannot have one admin who can do any harm on that. Challenge number 3, as I mentioned before, and I would argue like so. This is why I put this as the last one, as probably most important thing, because one thing is, okay, let's make technology make us being better humans, but like I would like for us humans come together, decide, look guys, you want to work with data, you want to work with personal data, you want to work with some sensitive, maybe harmful, touchy-feely data. You should be educated, what it is, maybe do some kind of like something similar to what doctors do, Hippocratic oath. And also you have to be careful, like, like maybe it's, it really catches on you, so yeah. So you might need medicine once you take a red pill. But there is few, this is just one example, but there is quite a few examples like this, and it really gives me hope. Recently, Google, really big team, just bluntly refused to work on a project which was, it's really clear, we are doing some robots for Pentagon, and those robots are gonna go around and kill some people. And they say like, okay, we don't want to take part of it, so please, yeah, if you just proceed, we're gonna just leave the company. Also, like other engineers did the same for Apple and other companies. And like, so I'm not here to be like some like revolutionary, or to call for action, like engineers of all countries, please unite. But yes, I would like us to be more just conscious of like what kind of power we actually take in our hands, and just to feel that much of responsibility with that power. That would be a good start. Before we just willy-nilly put terabytes here and sell terabytes there. Because after this, behind this data, sometimes and very often is some people lies. So this is what I wanted to share.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We've received one question. In your opinion, how did the GDPR impact the world of social media?
World of social media. Okay. I don't know. Like GDPR actually, how it impacted most of the businesses that I worked with in the past year or so is people updated websites. So now you go to website and it's like, oh, we are using cookies, and then you can click just OK. Okay, that's it. So I don't know. Like as I said, like I don't believe big companies. Nobody suffered anything so far. It's just being talks. It's just being like we're gonna start and investigating, and we're gonna send some officials to go and peek into your database. But it's just not realistic. There are some I don't know. The night after in May after GDPR was put in force. Some lawyers, because lawyers they need to go to hell, but before that they need to make their living, and what they do, they sue people. So there are a few really eager lawyer offices that sued Google and Facebook in front of like European Union citizens. It was done like a few hours after GDPR. So I don't count those, like really, and nothing happened. But yeah, like it's it's one way. Like maybe if European Union was really strict and they start like charging like millions and billions out of these big companies, maybe then we're gonna start something changing. But right now it's just cosmetics. Like okay, you can click OK, and that's it.
Thank you. If we aggregate and not use individual user data, are there any reasons why an individual concerned with privacy should be concerned with using our services?
So we are aggregating and then anonymizing, right? And then you ask like, should people who are using this data be concerned? Yeah, somebody mentioned on this panel, it all comes down to trust. When you don't have something which is totally open source, totally transparent, like blockchain, for example, blockchain. Right now, we don't have many more technologies like that. Really, we don't. Until 10 years ago, we didn't have anything like that. So yeah, I'm not crypto anarchist. I don't believe like blockchain is solution for everything. And very often, I just say, like, okay, you don't actually need the blockchain for that solution, for that problem. It's not solution, but yeah, it all comes down like, for example, Apple was really pushing really hard on at least PR. I think we are not selling your data. We would not give it to like government. We won't give it to FBI, and they needed. FBI actually employed some Israelis, and they broke the phone. But like it all comes down how much you trust this brand, or either that, or this brand is really really confident that they are doing nothing bad. So blockchain can be used, for your control, and all data is encrypted and just linked. So not all the data is on blockchain. Blockchain stores only like keys and locks, just that. Nothing.
Anita wants to know if you have any specific suggestion to what the oath should look like for a data scientist.
Okay. Actually, I was thinking to put some website like before this talk to have something but no, not really. But style can be something that some of the more experienced guys here did in ex-Yugoslavia, which is like today when I'm becoming data scientist, I solemnly, like something like that. So yeah, something along those lines. But look, good starting point is what we already have from ACM, like okay, ACM, like it's an association of computers and machines. It's probably top, not probably, but top authority for computer science. There is already code of ethics there. It's pretty much sufficient, but it's really broad. It doesn't focus on data. So probably that can be repurposed. And I just hope people understand that software is software, but data science is gaining more and more in power, and we should. So I'm not the person. Like maybe I can write just first line, like and then after that we'll see. I hope yeah.
Maybe we should form a working group or
Yeah,
a
of
task
course.
force
Of
for
course,
creating the oath. Anita, do you volunteer?
Yeah, yeah. I can donate some beer, so everything goes more.
No need for that. We already have free beer at
Excellent.
Remington Hall. Thank you very much. On behalf of the organizers, I would like to give you the certificate for contributing to the conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you.